Climbing up on the ease of doing business index put out by the World Bank is a matter of great prestige, especially for nations in the developing category. It has usually been the gold standard of judging how easy it is to do business in any country, what the investment climate is, and for a long time has also monopolized the way rating agencies look at countries as well as large corporations for foreign investment. Well, this doing business index by the World Bank is now under a cloud. The World Bank has actually had to scrap it after an independent external investigation that they commissioned showed wrongdoing in the 2018 and 2020 series of the World Bank Doing Business reports. These investigations have revealed some very serious charges which put under a cloud the then chief executive of the World Bank, who is the current managing director of the IMF, and seem to suggest that in the 2018 rankings, China was given a boost up on unfair terms, and that could have something to do with the fact that China was increasing its stake in the World Bank. Likewise, in 2020, the upgrade of Saudi Arabia in the rankings has been questioned, and the investigations point out to a possibility that that ranking upgrade may have come at the cost of other countries, including Jordan. So, what does this really mean for the entire process? And remember, there are big names like World Bank and IMF chiefs here at the moment. To speak on this and give us some perspective, I'm joined now by Jayant Dasgupta, who's a former ambassador for India to the World Trade Organization. Ambassador Dasgupta, thank you so much for speaking with us. This is shocking to say the least, isn't it? But the rankings have been controversial for a while.
The whole issue, I think, is indeed quite upsetting, because from the report of Wilmer Hale, the law firm which was engaged by the World Bank to go into the matter, they have indicated that influence was used, pressure was used, perhaps from the office of the president, Jim Kim, and also perhaps from the office of the managing director, then, who is now the MD of the IMF. So these things are upsetting. The second point is that the whole index has, been running since 2003. So it was published for 17 years. And there has been some element of contradiction or controversy about various factors which have been taken into account. Now, if we only get to know the ranking of a country, but that ranking is based on certain points which are awarded for 10 factors. Starting a business, registering a property, getting an electricity connection, paying taxes, trading across borders, and so on and so forth, protecting property. So
sure.
all these factors, they are given certain points, and these are collected on the basis of interviews from about 12,500 participants who are lawyers, accountants, and other professionals. So there could be other factors which have been ignored, and this method of collecting information is not very rigorous. The World Bank has tried to give it as much rigor as possible, but all the same, it would be based on a questionnaire survey. So it does leave a lot of...
but Ambassador Dasgupta, sure. But Ambassador Dasgupta, whether the methodology used was rigorous or not has been a question of debate so far. But this time round, what this external investigation has shown is much more serious than that. Because if there is a skewed method of actually collecting the data, it would impact all of the countries that are being ranked. Here, the accusation today is that under Kristalina Georgieva, who is now, as you mentioned, the MD of the IMF and was then the chief executive, there was pressure on those within the team putting together this ranking to upgrade China in 2018. And this report actually quotes members of the team saying that they felt if they didn't toe the line, they could lose their job. So this is an accusation of much wider implication than whether the methodology was robust enough or not.
That is true, but then when you base your final ranking on certain quantitative methods, it is more difficult to manipulate them because they are based on data which can be cross-checked. But if you base it on a questionnaire survey, and there are things which can be perhaps changed a little bit, tweaked a little bit, then the chances of changing the outcome of a report is much more much easier. Now, the Chinese issue is that it jumped up by about 7 ranks, and based on 3 factors: paying taxes, starting a business, and getting credit. Now, these factors, according to the report, would have ranked China at 85, but because of the manipulation, it got upgraded to about 78 rank. So that is the whole issue. But the fact remains that qualitative kind of a report of this kind will always be subject to manipulation. And in a hierarchical organization like the World Bank or even the IMF, because there would be researchers, there would be somebody supervising it, they would be susceptible to pressure if quantitative data points are not used. And there is a problem about using quantitative data points for various reasons.
Sure. Let me put this in the context of India, and this is important because in 2020 we ranked 63. That was a jump of 79 places since 2014. In fact, our climb up the Doing Business Index has been widely celebrated here in India and been showcased very often as a result of the business reforms that the government is implementing, etc. Now, what's interesting is that in this report, there's no shadow cast upon India. But is the overall credibility of the rankings dented, no doubt?
I think it is indeed dented because what the report has revealed is that the research team has been subjected to pressure and they have yielded to pressure. But I think the point to be taken here is that, you should not go by rank position of 63 or 65 or 68. If you improve very much, like India did, from 142 to 63 in the span of 7 years or so, that is something which is pointing to the fact that we are moving in the right direction, that the reforms have indeed taken place and they have yielded results. The other thing is that economic analysis has shown that improvement in the ranking does improve the performance of private businesses, especially those which are coming in from outside and investing, because this whole index is about regulations. What are the regulations which come in the way, which delay things, which deter an investor from investing? So we should not go by the strict ranking position, but the general movement of the ranking. And therein, I think India has done very well.
Yeah, absolutely. The proof at the end of the day is in the pudding. You have made it easier to do business if more companies want to come and invest in your country. And that should be the parameter that all our countries should look at. But this is a big story. It's a big scandal because it involves the highest echelons of some of the largest multilateral bodies in the world. And the World Bank, to its credit, is the one who commissioned this investigation, has revealed its details as well, and has promised to recast the entire Doing Business Index. Thank you so much, Ambassador Dasgupta, for joining us today and putting this very important story in perspective.
Thank you.